Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Nikkei is down more than 250 points odd. It's followed lower by the Kospi, that as well is down close to around 1.5%.
I'm not too concerned about the rupee hitting an all-time low.
Market was prepared for rupee at 70. That much market has absorbed. Is it prepared for more? We'll find out.
You will see interest rate defense being used if the rupee weakness continues.
I guess the next big level will come in around 70.5 and then followed by 71.
11,395 on the Nifty, 11,387, 11,384. 51 point down, 54 point down.
Economic momentum is very strong both in the US and in India.
We are resilient, especially if you compare us to what's happening globally.
Reliance Industries has the highest weightage on the Nifty.
The market has faltered a bit. We're down about 35 odd points on the Nifty. It looked at one point that after recovering from the day's low, things actually would keep going higher, but that's not panned out.
Okay, yes, very interesting day today because it started down, then recovered all of that. Then there was second round of selling, but once again from the same low point that you had at 9:15, the market is recovering. Let's see, crucial last hour, weekly options expiry on the Bank Nifty, of course. This is closing bell. I'm Anuj, with me is Surbhi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. You know, for me today, I was just taking a look at the mid-cap market performance, and there it's very interesting. So many big stocks are once again making, highs. I drew up a list, so whether it's Bata or, UB, Balakrishna, Jubilant, Dabur, I mean, the buying seems to be coming back into the strong hands. What's your sense on the day so far?
Yeah, I think the market's not collapsing. This is a market which is quite okay, and I think the bulls want to believe that as long as the last low is intact, which was around 11,250, and we are fair way from there, Surabhi. Look, we had a gap down, that was bought. We had a second dip. Right now, that is getting bought. In that environment, normally some mid caps do well, and that's what's happening. But, suffice to say that we are now going through a phase where there's some resistance now at higher levels, somewhere around 11,450 to 500. But at lower level, there's buying, absolutely no doubt about it. There's rupee weakness. We discuss the market's baked in 70. Has the market baked in further move to 71, 72? I don't know. Crude is a big positive today. I think that has helped on the margin. That could be one reason that our market has actually outperformed some of the other Asian emerging markets. I mean, you have to take into account our market, not just today, but 2 days. Market's quite okay. But let's see, crucial last hour, Surabhi. Weekly options expiry looks like one of those expiries where I think 27,800 to 27,900. That perhaps looks like a boundary which will be respected.
Okay, as we get started, just a quick word on the European markets, as Anuj mentioned, should just keep them up for reference. Right now, Europe is doing better than how we are doing. We're better off than most of the Asian, the regional peers. European markets are actually up 0.5%. That's just one context to keep in mind. And the currency, which continues to be around 70.30. The day's low is 70.38. We're within the vicinity of those levels today. On that note, let's get started. Let's tell you what's lined up on the show. The market is off the day's low, but it's still trading in the red. Mid-caps, the index is flattish, but there are some high flyers within the universe. We will be discussing a lot of that and more with our fundamental experts, SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com, market expert Prakash Diwan, as well as Dilip Bhatt of Prabhudas Leeladhar. We get you some interesting portfolio updates and discuss the top holdings of Ambit's coffee can PMS with Rakshit Ranjan. He's our alpha manager of the day. And as always, lots of trading ideas coming your way with technical experts Ashwini Gujral and Mitesh Thakkar.
Okay, how should you position yourself in this last hour of trade then? Ashwini Gujral and Mitesh Thakkar with us. Good afternoon. Ashwini, your thoughts first. The market is having second round of selling, but that's also getting absorbed. How would you approach the last hour?
See, in a sideways market, if you open at the highs, you generally close at the lows. If you open at the lows, 8 times out of 10, you close at the highs. Now, today what happened was you had your intraday rally, but that rally failed at 11,460 on the Nifty futures. Now, not going towards 11,500 meant that, that rally got terminated midway. Now, if that starts to happen, that upside targets are not getting met, for whatever it's worth, it's a sign of weakness, and I would think the last hour could be fairly weak, particularly in case we are able to take out the morning low. Yesterday, you can say that day before yesterday low is still lower, but I would think that if the morning low is taken out and we start closing at the lows of the day, then some sort of trending may be coming back into the market. And particularly the way private banks are reacting, large stocks are coming off the highs, etc. That's not comforting. HDFC is down 2.5% with no news. So, maybe there is some risk off that is happening. So, I am short on the bank Nifty, and I think, today you have to take that bet that, things can close either way. But for the moment, I won't call it a strong market. If it was strong, it should have stayed above 11,400, 410. So, individual stocks, Jain Irrigation is a sell with a stop of 78, target of 72. JSPL is a sell with a stop of 196, target of 184. And Balkrishna Industries, you can say, is a buy with a stop of 1380, target of 1440.
Okay, that's interesting, Ashwini. So short on the bank Nifty, not on the Nifty itself as yet?
See, Nifty also you can go short on, because chances are a few people are long from the morning, and as we start breaking the day's low, this selling may accentuate, because Europe is up, but Asia continues to go down. So is there some emerging market relative sell-off going on? Because it's quite surprising that we have not been able to continue the upside rally.
Okay, all right. Let's also bring in Mitesh into the conversation. Afternoon, Mitesh. How are you reading today's picture, and which way are you trading your ideas?
Yes, so I think, we've not been trading the index. In fact, I've been saying that the overall chart doesn't look very comfortable and doesn't show that there could be a breakout immediately. The intraday indicator is still dipping. Typically, that will not be the case when the market is strong or making fresh highs. So I think we are still in that sideways range. 11,470, 11,350 is my first level. And in case 350 gets taken out, then we might have about 100-point kind of a dip. So 11,240, 220 becomes important support area. So for the time being, we're trading with mixed bias, slightly more on the long side, but I also have short calls. For now, I think there's one short call and one buy call. I have a short on Z Limited with a stop at 507 for targets of 480, while Godrej Consumer is a buy, keep a stop below 1315 and look for targets close to about 1380.
Okay, those are some technical calls at this point in time. Let's invite SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com and Prakash Diwan as well. Good afternoon, Ms. Tulsian. First, your thoughts on GAIL and the big rally that it's seen this week, up about 8.5%. It's a fresh high for the stock, in fact, as we speak.
See, Anuj, in fact, we have discussed this post the numbers, I think, on Monday morning show, when I've said that the numbers are seen to be quite good, and the petchem segment, first on their core business of the gas carriage business, has shown the normal growth, which was not disappointing. Then petchem has really shown a very good business, very good growth. In fact, petchem segments, as we have seen from Reliance Industries, Phenolics Industries, all of them have been doing quite well, and on the similar line, GAIL has also done quite well for their petchem segment. And if you see their gas trading business, that has shown a phenomenal increase. And I've said on Monday morning show that yes, looking to the numbers having posted by the GAIL, it qualifies for a buy. And if you really take an overall call on all the gas stocks, you can include the broader range like IGL, MGL, Petronet, LNG, GAIL, Gas Authority of India, Gujarat Gas. In fact, all have been seen having bottomed out in this last 3 to 4 months, having corrected to a great extent, and all of them are now seeing the renewed buying. Maybe MGL have risen by about maybe 10-12% in this last maybe about 1 month or so, with the good numbers having supported. But maybe IGL, even with a flattish kind of number, has not seen much correction. So overall, the gas stocks are seen to be coming out with the renewed buying, and GAIL, as I said, that seem to be the beneficiary of the good Q1 numbers having posted by the company.
Okay, so that's GAIL powering through, been a good quarter for the company. Prakash Diwan also with us this afternoon. Prakash, hi. So pharma. Now the thing is that for all the non-believers, now they realize there's some pharma that's probably required in the portfolio. Which way do you play it on the large caps? Do you go with the sun when numbers were good, commentary is good, brokerage upgrades have come in, stock at a 52-week high? or should you look at a Lupin or a Dr. Reddy's, which are still not up there to sort of that sort of a level?
Yeah, so Surabhi, pharma is a very wide basket. I mean, in fact, that's probably one of the only sectors that gives you too much of choice. So you have choices in terms of market cap and size and scale, also in terms of the product segments and the geographies. So the combination is fairly daunting in terms. I mean, you're spoiled for choice. And when things start looking up for some of the larger players, you need to realize that look at Sun Pharma numbers. So what the numbers tell you is that they're making a comeback of sorts in the US. They're making a comeback in the domestic market. Regulatory overhang is kind of dilutive enough. So this could happen to a lot of other players who have also been downgraded because of the same impact.
US-related issues.
Yeah, US-related issues and competitive intensity, as we call it. So a lot of them will keep on coming back and bouncing back. The timelines could be different. So you can't time that perfectly well. So look at the Cadila numbers. People didn't like the numbers, but then you digest the numbers and they started looking slightly more tolerable than what optically they did on the day of the results. So this is going to be a trend. But it continues to be a bottom-up market. I particularly would like to go in for a much safer bet because it's still the early, phases of a turnaround in the sector. There's a company called Laurus Labs. The numbers were not very impressive. But I like the fact that they focus more on the African continent where, there's a lot of donor-driven sales and revenue growth. It's not related to consumption, I mean, to B2C kind of a model. And their dependence on the US is also largely, not so significant. And they have a very good product mix. They are into APIs, they're into formulations, generics. So, and the promoter has been buying very consistently, of late. So that tells you that it's close to its bottom. It's, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's very close to its 52-week lows as well. And the numbers were, again, an opportunity to buy into. So buy into things which still offer a lot of value. Like Sun Pharma today at 600 plus, you're probably late. You're late by $100 at least.
Okay. By the way, the sad news now, former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee has died at the age of 93. Of course, he was Prime Minister 3 times. 1996 was the first time for 13 days. Then, of course, in 1998 for 13 months, that is when AIADMK decided to pull out of the government. Famously, the Vajpayee government lost the confidence vote by 1 vote, Surabhi. That was the time. I still remember it distinctly because, I was 18, 19 at that point. Even my, first vote, I think, was at that point. And then, of course, 1999, he came back with the full majority. So
I think a lot of legacy, of course, a very, very tall leader. And I think that stint between 1999 and 2004, of course, the NDA went on to lose power after that. But there were a lot of big firsts. I remember the Agra summit was one big talking point of that era, the entire highways program. And then, of course, the India Shining campaign. And then,
I think the
what didn't work there.
Test,
the Pokhran test, of course.
He'll be known for that. But anyway, that's, of course, the sad news. But let's move on now and talk about some more stocks because for now, the market's making a bit of a move on the downside. I think day's low is getting tested now. Just pull out the Nifty and the Bank Nifty into the chart. Mr. Hussain, I wanted your thoughts on HDFC. 2.5% down. Is the market worried about something here? Or just you think just normal profit? I mean, normally you don't see this kind of trend in HDFC.
See, Anuj, in fact, what is happening, we are seeing all these stocks which have risen. Now, you say, take the case of, I think, HDFC made its lifetime high on 31st July 2045, 2050. And we have seen that it's having corrected by about 8%. And so, I think this is a normal phenomenon. If you really ask me, probably if this would have happened maybe 7-8 days back, we would have said that probably the proxy war, the FI investors are not seen happy. But this is not the case, In fact, I would say that the Bank Nifty, in fact, today, if you see, as a weekly option expiry management, they want to keep it strong, the ICICI Bank and Axis Bank. And if you take the weakness on the Bank Nifty of about 150 points, that has alone come from Kotak Mahindra Bank. So I won't be seeing the tides again getting, because in HDFC, generally you see the technical trades happening. And this is what we have been seeing. In fact, in my view, this is the best buying opportunity for the long-term investors. When you want to hide into the defensives and the quality stocks, HDFC is giving you a best entry point, which is now ruling sub 1900, and except for profit booking, which sooner or later, in fact, I don't want to name the stocks which have been all ruling quite high, and people are just talking of those 5, 6, 7, 8 stocks only. Even they will be all, seeing the profit booking getting corrected by 6 to 8%, and nobody will talk at that point of time. Just to remind you, if you recall, HDFC, AMC, when listed at 1820, 30, everyone was seen to be buyer, but at 1700, 1720, 30, nobody is talking of that. So I think these are the pedigree stocks which you must have in your portfolio, and I don't see any reason except just for the profit booking, which we have been seeing for the technical reasons also, and just as a matter of profit booking.
Okay, that's HDFC. By the way, we're at the day's low on the market. There has been a big fall, and I think Ashwini's short trades are working out beautifully for the time being. Let's pull up the SBI chart, 1.5% down on that stock. Nifty is pretty much at the day's low. There's some incremental weakness on dollar rupee as well. It's again inching back to the lows of the day, dollar rupee. That's the fall on in SBI. L&T is seeing incremental selling. Axis Bank is lower. So quite a few stocks now back to the lows of the day. That's the market, 0.5% gone from the Nifty, the Sensex, and even the mid-cap index. There's a very sudden drop on the mid-cap index that we've actually seen now. Nifty Bank is now down over 200 points. What we'll do is we'll take a very quick break. We'll come back and discuss these trends. Quick, sharp fall in the markets. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Okay, we're tracking this decline. There's no two ways about it. It is a weekday. And Anuj, this last little bit of fall that we're seeing on some of the bank stocks, Axis, SBI, some heavyweights like L&T. So, yeah, that graph is now back at the day's low.
Yeah, it is. I tell you something. Look at Canara Bank's intraday chart. I think this is phenomenal. So just look at that. There's a collapse happening right now in the PSU banks. That is the intraday move that you're seeing on Canara Bank from the high point. There's massive amount of slip which is happening. So obviously there's a bit of a problem as far as the Nifty Bank is concerned. Nifty Bank's contribution is important because if you see Kotak is the one dragging, but today HDFC Bank has also had a bit of an issue. So obviously there's a lot of selling pressure, 225 points down. 143 out of that is on account of Kotak and 62 on account of HDFC Bank. These two together have 52% weight in the bank Nifty.
I just wanted to point out Reliance Communication. Now, there is so much of punting around this stock. The last we knew was the deal is on track, or their deal with Jio. I don't know what is happening to the shares at the moment because the stock's down suddenly 10%. Anyway, PSU banks are down. I mean, some of the lenders to Arcom anyway are trading lower for their own reasons. So it is a bit of a tough afternoon for the bulls out there. Let's get some more trading ideas in then. Sandeep Wagle is with us. Good afternoon, Sandeep. Which way are you betting? Long, short? What are the ideas?
Afternoon, Surbhi. I have one long, one short. Long is in a DLF, buy it with a stop loss of 203, target of 218, and a sell in a Jindal Steel and Power, stop loss of 194, target 180.
Okay, Sandeep, thanks a lot for those trading ideas. The market's slipping actually quite a bit, and we are now at the lowest point. 11,367 is what we have, and a lot of stocks seeing selling pressure. As Surbhi pointed out, 10% gone, of course, on Reliance Communication. Mr. Ulsan, the other stock which has been interesting is Jain Irrigation, because it had a bit of a rally, but now it's getting sold into. Your thoughts on whether the numbers really were that bad? It's down quite a bit since then.
See, Anuj, if you see the other income of about 50 crore, which I attribute that because 60 crore was shown as other income, if I take 10 crore as a normal, in fact, you have been unable to allocate that, maybe in their pipe business or maybe in their core business of micro irrigations. Because on both you, it seems that the other income is seen having spread. But we have been seeing the pressure on the pipe business, which is again because of the increase in the petchem prices and the companies have not been able to pass. Again, to give an identical example is the Finolex Industries, where they have done quite well in their PVC segment, but the PVC pipe and fitting has shown some kind of pressure. And coming specifically on Jain Irrigation, you have not seen any kind of promises which is being made by the management for last couple of years of debt reductions and all sort of things. Their agro processing business is not doing well. Their core businesses all seem to be lingering, and in fact people get tired if they don't see the promises getting fulfilled or have milestones having achieved by the company. And if you just see the flattish kind of things, these the kind of overreactions seen coming in. But let me tell you that probably the kind of corrections which we have been seeing today of about 10% seem to be more, the knee-jerk reaction, and probably it should recover maybe in the next 1 week or so by about 3, 4, 5%, but seem to have bottomed out because of the flattish to dull kind of numbers seen from the company.
Okay, well, as this decline gets a little broader, interesting to note some of the stocks that are bucking the trend. Max India suddenly up 7%, by the way. And there's some buying on NBCC. UB is still strong, 3.5% up on UB. And Jet Airways is up 3.5% in this kind of a market. So some specks of green already. Prakash, just your thoughts on PSU banks now. What would you do with the likes of Canara or a BOB? I'm not talking about SBI, but some of the tier 2 banks. Any takeaway here?
No, so BOB, I think, continues to, validate the fact that the turnaround is imminent in some of these banks, and it's going to be much earlier than the others. I'm not too positive on Canara Bank or a Bank of India as yet, because they are still 2 quarters behind in terms of, if you recall, BOB was the one that started the NBA recognition process much earlier than all of them, and that started paying off. So it's best to kind of, make sure that you stick with the ones that have already turned the corner, and then not kind of, keep on speculating that the others will follow suit, and hopefully they will. But you could have a painful wait period which might be very damaging on your portfolio. So best is to stick to some of these very select PSU banks. BOB is one, SBI could be the other one, but just stay out of the rest of them for the timing. And today's market is giving you some very clear technical opportunity, like Kotak. RBI has disallowed the transaction, but there is this assumption that there will be a liquidation of
that they'll suddenly come and dump some 10% in the market.
And that is a bit too,
Kotak, he'll find something else.
Absolutely. I mean, this has given them time. In fact, it's given them, if the objective was to buy time, they've already got time enough to find and come up with something which is not damaging for the stakeholders and for the value creation of the stock. So I don't think people should be reacting to it so drastically. That's a good opportunity. You could probably accumulate some of Kotak Bank stock at this moment. But yeah, PSU banks, coming back to your questions, would be yes, BOB probably the only one that makes it great at this point.
Yeah. Mr. Nielsen, your thoughts on Kotak? Are you surprised by market's reaction? Because it's not as if now Uday Kotak will have to come out and, expand the equity tomorrow. And of course, there's this time now. And in the past, if you bought 10-12% correction in Kotak, you have made a lot of money.
And I think, Anuj, this is again giving an opportunity to make money if someone will buy now. And you are right. In fact, Uday Kotak has a time till December to bring it down to 30%. Now, take the alternatives. How can he do it? Either he will come out with a QIP. Firstly, RBI is seen having giving these extensions. In fact, I'm surprised. I was referring to the Bandhan Bank RHP, which says that in fact they have to bring down their stake from 82% to 40% till today or maybe till tomorrow, within 3 years from the commencement. I don't understand. And the risk factor clearly says that if it doesn't happen, the RBI will grant, and if it doesn't happen, they will be making their best effort. So if you go by the precedents, Reserve Bank of India has given time in the past, and it's the same thing is likely. But suppose if they have to achieve, if the Kotak Bank has to achieve the QIP of maybe 25, 30, 40,000 crore will be made by the company, and I think by the bank, and I think there is strong appetite, and that will itself be seen quite positive. Then comes the second route, maybe the acquisitions of the further banks. Now, if you take the south scattered private sector banks, there are 5-6 banks lined up. I think that in the next 2 to 3 years, you will see that all these private sector banks will get lapped by some of the banks. I'm not banking as of today on Axis Bank, which otherwise would have made the Kotak Bank to come in the league, or neck to neck with HDFC Bank with a market cap of closer to 4 lakh crore against HDFC Bank of 6 lakh crore. So I think that these are all positive move. And in fact, when Uday Kotak is so firm in retaining his 30% stake, that shows his commitment that yes, he will come out with some alternatives. And even if that does not happen, as I said, that some strong promoters will come in the bank, maybe by equity dilution. So I don't understand sometimes the market reactions, and I think that they should be used as a buying opportunity. In fact, those who will be entering it now can look for a 20% return in a year's time from the investments.
Okay, Mr. Nielsen, fair point. Completely take your point. Thanks a lot for joining us. Ashwini, 27,820 on the Nifty Bank, 11,387. The extreme low of the day is being protected, though the market's weak. Your thoughts? We are again perhaps in a range now?
See, that's how sideways markets behave, that they either touch the low of the day or the high of the day. As long as, this 11,350, 11,500 is not broken, it's, premature to extrapolate. Like if you extrapolated, say, day before's gain, you got into trouble. If you extrapolate today's low, again, you are likely to get into trouble. So my sense is that, yes, intraday fall, but it may not mean a whole lot in the overall scheme of things.
Okay, all right, Ashwini, we'll just